Hi guys, this is Bill with Media Unlocked, and we are still here at 3O Studios today, and I wanted to tell you about the second step in my search for the perfect tripod and head combination for this summer. What I have here in front is the King of Kings. I have Really Right Stuff. This is the Really Right Stuff Pano-Gimbal PG-02. Okay, it shoots panos, it's a gimbal. It is just exactly what you see. So we're going to talk about this today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about shooting a pano and how you can get some better results with your panoramic photography, because this is all tied in together. And like I said, this summer, my mission is to find the last tripod and head that I am ever going to buy. And so this is the next step. So let's talk about the specs. This, like I said, is the Really Right Stuff PG-02. Now you're going to find there are a couple, three different versions of this out there. The one I have here is the one with the quick release here at the top. There's also one with a gimbal section right here, which I do not have. They were out of stock on that one when I asked them for this one. So this is the one I was using. It has some advantages and disadvantages, as we'll talk about it, the gimbal head versus the quick connect. But the specs on this thing are really cool. This is Really Right Stuff, okay? To start off with, if you get this at B&H today, it's $766. Now, yes, that is a boatload of cash, okay? $766, that's 3 car payments, you know, for most of us. It is an all aluminum milled combination block with stainless steel parts. So this thing is, think about it, all aluminum and stainless steel. It's not going to rust. You know, you could drive a tank over this thing just about and it will last. The load capacity is not specified by Really Right Stuff. They don't say it will hold anything else, but I think it would hold a car. Okay, this thing is just huge. It's big, it's strong. I had no mobility once I had the camera locked down with it. This was just absolutely, you know, just it'll hold anything out there. They say that it'll hold up to a 600mm lens. I think you could put a 6000mm lens if they made them on this thing, and it would just stick right out there. But it would work like a charm because it's just built that well. It's Really Right Stuff. That's their rep, and they deserve that reputation. That's one of the reasons, by the way, why. What was that, David? How much was this thing? $766. You're going to pay a bunch for it, but it's the best out there. Okay. Talking about the other specs, it has a full 360-degree panorama on it at both ends. Okay, completely. All right, it goes everywhere. It weighs 2.8 pounds. It is an Arca Swiss type quick release, which I'll demonstrate for you in a little bit. And it's just, you know, it's just the bomb. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing. I do have a recommended accessory for you to get yourself a slide plate when you do it. That's because it will make your panoramic photography that much better. And it costs $150 extra, but it will make the world of difference. We'll talk about that when we talk briefly about how to shoot a pano. Hey, David, how do you shoot a pano?
One click at a time.
There you go. There you go. Panoramic photography is, in one sense, it's really easy, the concept of it. But there are some physics behind it that make things a lot easier. And the more you know about it, and frankly, this is one of the cases where some good gear makes things a lot easier. But the more you know about it, the easier it is to get a really good pano, and the easier it is to use your stitching software to put it together. So the basic idea behind panoramic photography is really simple. You have your camera locked down in one spot, and then you rotate that camera around to take your entire picture, okay? So that's the basic idea right here. But you notice that there is a problem, because the closer something is to you, the bigger the error when your camera rotates. So how do you fix it? There are a lot of good videos out there on how to find nodal points and things like that, so I don't want to go into those in great detail. But what you do is you have to find the nodal point for your lens if you really want to do it right. Each lens has an area.
Hey Bill, what's a nodal point?
David, I'm glad you asked. Each lens has an area where when light comes in, it switches. It moves top to bottom, left to right. At that one point where all of those light rays catch, that's the nodal point. Every lens has one. Now, if it's a fixed prime lens, it has 1 point. But if it's a zoom, it has several. And you have to find the one nodal point in the prime and the several nodal points in the zooms. The way to do that is basically really simple. You set up two objects, the same thing, two candlesticks. I used a couple of light stands here in the studio. You set them up about 15 feet apart. You go to the other end of the room, you set up your camera on a landscape mode because it's a lot easier and it doesn't matter whether it's landscape or portrait. You use live view and you move your camera on your tripod forward and back, hence the slide bar, which makes it a lot easier. You move that camera forward and back just a little bit, lock it down, and then see when you rotate it if that back object appears. Take a look. You can find the nodal point of your eye, for example, just by doing this. You look at your thumb, you close one eye and the other, and it appears like the background moves because your thumb doesn't move and you know that. That is called parallax. And the whole idea behind fixing your lens and finding the nodal point is to minimize the parallax error for your tripod. Now, you can do it in a lot of other ways. If you don't have a slide bar, if you don't have a nodal point tracked, you can move it over and do the best you can with the gear you do have. I've even seen Peter Hurley stick his thumb out, put his camera on his thumb, and use that to make the axis and do it all handheld. You don't need the gear, but the gear does help when you're going to shoot a pano. Okay, so I want to show you a little bit about how this particular Pano-Gimbal head works. I've got it screwed onto my tripod. It's just the standard tripod you've seen in a few other videos. This knob locks down the rotation along the axis of the tripod. When you lock it, it's not going anywhere, okay? If you want to do a pano, you leave it loose, okay? This is the rail. This is so that you can get your axis of rotation directly under your lens. Now, if you're shooting a pano, one of the things you want to do is just drop this down to make sure that the center of your lens is roughly over the center of your rotation. That means you've got a good line to it. And you can just kind of eyeball it. You don't need to do this specifically well. Lock it back into place. My nodal point for this lens is right about here. I've charted it. And you know what? There are some holes up under here where they've cut the metal out to lighten the weight just a little bit. If you make your notes of where your settings are for each lens in combination, you can tape them up in these holes right here, and you don't ever have to worry about losing them. Unless, of course, you throw this off a cliff in the Red River Gorge. We can try that and see if we can retrieve it, but I don't want to. So I got to send it back to B&H. Oh, well. So you rotate it around. You set the rail up. It rotates and moves until you find that point that you need, okay? Once you do that, if you're going to continue with your pano, you set it up this way. Shoot, 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 shoot. As many shots as you need to do what you need. You can do multi-level panos, or you can do single levels, either one. Now, I've got a couple of panos that I shot with this head when I was in North Carolina. Two of them that I'm particularly proud of. One is Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. If you know the history of Cape Hatteras Light, it is a very old lighthouse. It's one of the first ones built in the Outer Banks. One of the most unique environments in the United States. If you ever get a chance to go, you really should. And Hatteras Lighthouse was built on a shelf that was eroding. So a few years back, they had to move it. They literally built mammoth equipment that would lift this entire, I think it's a couple of hundred feet of lighthouse, lift it up, put it on a big caterpillar, and move it up the beach to get it onto stable sand. Put it back down, and then just rebuild the base underneath it. It was an amazing thing. It took almost a year to move it. I was one of those people who had it on my computer every day just watching this thing crawl an inch at a time, and I had to go see it in its new spot. So when I went to the Outer Banks, I shot a pano of Cape Hatteras Light. That was the highlight of my trip. But I also shot panos of other instances. I shot one of a dock, didn't work out that well because, well, I didn't have my parallax error fixed, and I'm not going to show you that one because, well, it looks like David took it. I really don't want to, embarrass him like that. But this particular head I used to also shoot the Roanoke Marshes Lighthouse. And I'm going to pop that up with the Hatteras Pano in a couple of minutes. And you're going to see just the long pier and the lighthouse at the end. It's a really cool Pano shot, I think. But that'll give you an idea of how you can use this particular head. Now, I'll be totally honest with you. This is really right stuff. You're not going to beat this product. It's precision, it's millwork, it's the way they're put together. This is what really right stuff products are. They are expensive, but they're the best out there. Is it worth it? Yeah, it is. I think I have found the head for my tripod. But I'll let you know, because there's one more that I need to look at next month when I go down to my annual Blue Ridge Parkway and Smoky Mountain trip. So until then, exercise that shutter finger and let's go searching for a tripod together.
You guys have made it this far. If you want to check out our newest video, it will be right here. If you want to check out the product, it will be down here. If you do happen to click on it and purchase it, it does give us a little bit of commission, and that helps me a lot keep making these videos. And of course, guys, right down below, go and leave a comment, hit that subscribe button, follow along. We'll catch you next time.